And, you'd see things as you walk around, whether it's on the mound or the security perimeter, you see checks. Like, I'll never forget seeing a check that was made out to a gym. And, you're like sitting there, you're like, this guy, he just literally probably sitting at his desk, wrote out his membership check, boom, and he's gone.
What's going on, guys? Time for another episode of Behind the Uniforms. I think we only have like 2 more episodes that we're doing at this whiskey wall before we move upstairs. So if there's any background noise, whatever, it's construction. Sorry, deal with it. Maybe we'll put a little disclaimer on the bottom. Tell them all who you are.
David Canese, I'm retired NYPD. I'm the founder of LESMA, Law Enforcement and Supporters for Media Accountability. I'm partnered up with Law Enforcement Officers Weekend and several other organizations. Just trying to keep myself in a fight.
Man, I'm stoked to finally meet you because this has been like 18 months in the works before we got together.
I apologize.
No, please, man. It's both of us. So first of all, why don't we start with the organization? What is it again?
Law Enforcement and Supporters for Media Accountability.
What does that mean?
It all started back in, I think it was June 13th or 14th, 2015. Frederica Whitfield from CNN reporter did a report on an individual, a gunman who opened up on a Texas police department. And in her report, she mentioned how he was brave and courageous for attacking the police. And I saw this and immediately became enraged. I'm like, how the hell could anyone do this? And that got me thinking. I was, at the time dealing with my own problems. After getting off the job, I was having a hard time adjusting to civilian life. It was getting tough at home. So I said, you know what? I got to do something. Talking to my wife, she's like, there's other people out here who have this. You have to meet up with them. And I did. We started talking. This happened. And we're like, this is our mission. We're going to now fight and stand up for the guys who can't open up their mouth because of fear of losing their job, for fear of, politicians taking it out on them, and they can't do anything to us. We're done. We're retired. Our pension's locked in. We're going to stand up for these guys and be their voice.
It's awesome.
And it just launched from there. And overnight we had... not overnight. Within a month, we had about 16,000 people on the Facebook page chiming in. Most of them were cops and telling us their problems. We got involved in some pretty heavy fights, helped cops save their jobs, helped some departments secure contracts, small departments out west that had no help, helped guys secure money through corporate donations to help pay for medical bills and stuff. And it's just been a fight ever since, and,
awesome.
And it keeps growing.
Awesome. Let's do good day, bad day. Where do you want to start?
All right, I'll do the good day. Just first of all, to be honest, out of the game for a couple of years, it's kind of changed. The dynamics of what I dealt with every day to what I do now, a little bit different. In hindsight, having that luxury of looking back and not being on the job anymore, what I didn't notice at the time, I'd say the best day was really the birth of my 2 children, my marriage, absolute best days. Everything else from the job, it is what it is. But I did actually, prior to coming on here, thought of one. Really touched me as a good day was had a homicide not long before getting injured at work. And, the whole squad really came together and hunted for this guy. And hunted him out of state and picked this guy up almost 9-10 months after the homicide. Bring him back into custody a year and a half later, guilty verdict. Everything's all said and done. Had very little contact with the victim's family. Not by any means of our own, but just they lived out of state and parents were divorced. Randomly, through my organization, which I had no idea he knew about, I received an email, actually not an email, it was a Facebook Messenger message from the victim's father, reaching out to me to tell me how thankful he was for solving his son's murder. He knew it would have gone unsolved. He knows what we went through. It's taken him a while to come forward and say this to me, but he was really just appreciative of everything we did.
Awesome.
And you realize at that point exactly how much of a difference you make. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't say it. Yeah. But his message, it rang out. It was, job related, I would have to say that. Overall, though, it would be the family. my only message to everyone: stay tight with your family. The job will turn on you in a second.
No doubt. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. Guys have come on here and said, I thought that my career was a lock. I thought my department would always have my back.
Yep.
But the one group that always had their back, besides the family of law enforcement, was their own family.
Absolutely.
Let's talk bad day.
Bad day for me was 9/11. It was, and I say it was a bad day because it doesn't go away. And I'm usually pretty good day in and day out. Like this time of year, and leading up to 9/11 and just after, it's really tough. You start remembering the sights, the sounds, the smells. I wasn't at ground zero when they hit. I was actually not even supposed to be working. I was on overtime though. I was actually out there bright and early, 6 o'clock the next morning. And the chaos was just insane. Body parts, molten hot steel. And again, this time of year, it hits you. You hear planes flying overhead. You get a little nervous. You all of a sudden you're smelling the carnage. You're hearing the noises of the moving steel from the workers down there. The yelling, the screaming. Every now and then, at least I know with me, you think you hear the bullhorn. They used to blow a bullhorn if they thought one of the other buildings was coming down. For the first few weeks, it was almost constant. And you'd run out of the pile or run out of your security depot or the trailer you were assigned to because you think another building's coming down. And this time of year, along with the loons who keep going into how it didn't happen, it really kills you. It does. And there is, it sits there. And I know guys who were down there when it came down, got injured when it came down, firefighters, civilians. I get it, they were there. But it was such an event that you didn't have to be there when it came down. It was just insane to see. I mean, when I tell you, walking through the debris, people don't understand. Like, there was nothing bigger than a phone receiver. And, you'd see things as you walk around, whether it's on the mound or the security perimeter, you see checks. Like, I'll never forget, you're seeing a check that was made out to a gym. And you're like sitting there, you're like, this guy, he just literally probably sitting at his desk, wrote out his membership check, boom, and he's gone. And then comes, did we do enough? I mean, listen, I know we did, everyone did, but did we do enough? Was there a ball that was dropped? I mean, there were several, but was there a ball that was dropped that maybe your department or your agency or you yourself somehow let go? After 9/11, there were a lot of investigations. You heard about it on the news. Some people say it didn't happen. Some people say it did happen. These rumors, these houses that became vacant and all this stuff. These things happened. And you wonder, we had a few in the precinct I retired out of, and you had to think to yourself, did somehow something happen that you missed? Maybe a month before, a year before, 2 years before, and you just didn't pick up on it? I mean, of course, we were in a state, no one would have thought that would happen, right? So, I mean, but it hits home, and again, this time of year, I usually become an extreme emotional mess, which is also hard, too. You see it. I don't like seeing on my kids' faces the look on their face, when I'm having a moment.
Right. And what's crazy is that it was so long ago, they weren't even around for it.
No.
They don't,
No.
I spoke at a high school recently, and I realized halfway through my speaking engagement, I was like, these guys have no memory of it. No. They weren't around for it.
No. And now my son comes home from school. He'll come home from school with homework. It's a great school district, and they're not doing anything. You hear some of these school districts do some crazy stuff, but, he comes home and he's like, I got to do a few questions on it, and I check it afterwards, and I'm like, this is all wrong. This ain't right. And he'll look at me, and I'm like, you know what? Just forget it. It's right. It's what you have to know for now. And I get it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't anything crazy, but it's just like, it is. They're kind of like trying to soften it for him, which right. I get. Like, I get why the media took the pictures off. Like I see on social media people saying, well, why do we have to show the pictures of people jumping? And, I commented to one of them who was a cop in another state, that had said it. And I told her, I said, why not? I had to deal with that. Yeah. It's what we all had to deal with. You want to remove it. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
It's there. We all have to know. We have to, you have to live this. And then I think back to, again, everyone's focus for the most part was 9/11, 9/11/01. What about 9/11 in Benghazi?
Yep.
No, I mean, there were a few people who did it, and I know I thought about it, but for the most part, it's forgotten about. We're sweeping it under the rug because,
There was a bigger
what
event
difference
and
does it make,
Yeah.
and all that crap.
Yeah.
And, here we sit. So, my kids know what it is. I show them. My family sees what I go through. I'm not the only one. My brother, I love him to death. He was down at the mound pretty much the whole time. He was out of the NYPD, disability from 9/11 related cancer. Worked at the morgue, worked at the landfill. It is what it is. He's scarred permanently between the PTSD from being there, the PTSD from the surgery. You're never the same. I mean, to any degree, we all suffer from it.
Well, and they're now putting 9/11 related deaths somewhere in the ballpark of 10,000 because of associated cancers and other.
And it's actually a lot. I mean, again, depending how you look at it, it's a lot higher. I mean, I know to some degree. I know with me, and lots of other guys, you're pretty much the Walking Dead. I mean, you listen. You become extremely desensitized. Your relationships, at home with your family, with friends who weren't there is totally different. You just, if you work through it as opposed to coming on later and dealing with it, again, you still have, there's still you still develop that. I mean, I think it's normal with cops. You normally over time, because you're seeing so much crap, that you become desensitized. But the guys I've seen, cops and firefighters here in New York, and those who came from out of state that you became friendly with to help out, man, it's had an extreme toll on everybody emotionally. And the big issue is there's no one there for it. I mean, just New York's, the governor, luckily, of New York just extended a bill, but they were going to cancel this September 11th. It was supposed to be the deadline to file, so that God forbid you die from something related, you develop something related down the road, your family gets covered. I'd like to even know why we haven't had that. Yeah. And now it's even, you only had 23 hours combined at ground zero. You needed 24. You're done. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We drove. There are guys that would drive these cars day in and day out, covered in debris, and never once worked a day at ground zero. And they're going to come up sick, and they're going to say, well, you were never technically at ground zero, so you're not covered. I think, and I'm not saying it because I was, part of the department then. I think the people really owe, and it's not just the department; it's for civilians too that were affected. I think that politicians have to do something and really step up for these guys, for all of us, for the civilians too. This was a tragedy that shouldn't happen. It's very likely to happen again, being so PC. But people really got to step up for these guys. I mean, and the guys are obviously a lot worse than I. And it just kills me to see what they're doing. And like I said, a lot of what we're trying to do with the organization LESMA is trying to get cops and firefighters locally onto city councils and on town boards and into the Senate. I've made a lot of good friends politically that were retired cops, and working to get a lot more in. Really hoping this movement is going to take. So that's where we're at.
Talking about bringing peace this weekend, let's talk about the Law Enforcement Officers Weekend. Because you've become a big part of that.
Yeah, it's an awesome organization, bringing together, obviously camaraderie, families, and honoring those who've made the ultimate sacrifice. It's also a good time to network, and it's a great time to really relax.
When and where is it?
It's on Father's Day weekend, and it's up in Lake George, New York. And you really can't have it in a better place. I mean, to relax on the lake, the fishing, the water, the restaurants, it's fantastic. And it's the whole group that runs, a great group of guys.
Well, brother, thank you for coming in.
Oh, thanks
you
for having
whiskey.
me.
Thanks for opening up and sharing your stories. Guys, hit the share button. I mean, it's going to take you 2 freaking seconds. If you could do that to help get these stories out there, we could go a long way in helping some of these men and women. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. God bless America. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Nice job, man.
Appreciate it.